My name is Jeff Schaub, Jefferson technically, but that makes me think I've got a bad credit card. So, Jeff Schaub, I'm a Baltimore County police officer, and I work on the DUI enforcement team, or the DUI task force, depending on who asks you about it. I guess the best way to describe Rick is he's the guy that would walk in the room and everybody wanted to go there. I thought about this question probably more than any of the rest as I was coming down here, and I think of that scene in Beauty and the Beast where they're talking about Gaston. Everybody wants to be him. But Rick wasn't arrogant. He was just Rick, and he was fine with everybody being around him, and he would do whatever you wanted. But he had everybody from jock type guys, very pretty girls, studious guys, social girls. It didn't matter. Rick just kind of had everybody. I think we were most alike because he and I both love soccer and baseball. Where we diverge is he realistically had a professional career ahead of him. Whether he would have gotten there or not, he was being scouted when he was in college. And he had heard from a number of teams. I don't know what level of those teams, but he had heard from a number of teams. He was a very good baseball player, but he was the one that everybody wanted, and he was such a typical. When we were in our teens, he was such a typical teen. He wasn't bad. He wasn't overly bad. He wasn't overly good. He didn't get in any real trouble. It just mischief that teens got into. We were about 17 or 18, and I was at his house. One of my uncle's friends kept calling, and Rick had hit puberty ahead of us, and Rick's voice had fully changed. It didn't crack or anything anymore. And he answers the phone, and the person on the other side calls my uncle's last name. That's all he does. Not hello, not where's your father, just calls my uncle's last name. Rick hangs up. He just hung right up. I didn't think anything about it. Look at me pretending there's a phone to hang up. But anyway, so there was no cell phones then. But so this happened 3 or 4 times, and the last time it happened, he slams the phone down and yells an expletive, which brings my aunt out of the bedroom and my uncle out of his, I think he was just downstairs. I don't think he was doing anything in particular. And he's like, Rick, what are you doing? He says, there's somebody prank calling the house. And so it rang again, and my uncle picks it up, and all you hear is my uncle just start laughing. Oh, that was my son. He doesn't know you guys call me that. So, but just like the death of a parent, the death of somebody that close, the pain never goes away. You just learn how to deal with it. And I think, let me take that back. I think the pain goes away a little bit, but the emptiness is always there. There's a lot that I would like to have shared with Rick. I think the biggest support was the family. I just thought everybody had a family like mine. See, I saw my cousins 3 or 4 times a summer, every Christmas, every Easter. So, I didn't realize until later on, probably in high school, that my family was very unique in the closeness that the extended family had. And we all knew each other's business, not because we were nosy, but because we just knew each other's business. We were communicating so much that we knew each other's business. So, my family was huge. I mean, my mom, for as devastated as she was she was a rock as far as helping my sisters and I out. More me, because like I said, Rick and I were close. I think to a friend of mine who lost his father, and he was at Arizona University of Arizona when his dad died, and he had a acquaintance, not even a friend, and he always tells the story his dad died of a heart attack suddenly, and there's no way really around it. And the friend said to him, Gary, this sucks. And there's no way around that. You have to walk through it at some point. And you can deny it, but at some point you're going to have to, kind of jump in the pool and work your way to the other side. But I think to myself, what if it would have happened now? And don't be afraid to ask people. They're willing to come in and help however you want them to. Take you to viewings or events, take you to a counselor if you feel like you need that. And, find the level of help that you need. And then I would say wring it dry. I don't know if it helps everybody, but it helps me a lot when I see Rick's girlfriend. She still keeps in touch with the family. It helps to just talk about what could be, but in a positive light. Not Rick's dead and he's not going to be, but because you, who would be Rick's nephew, graduated from the Merchant Marine Academy, and I remember talking to, I think it was my cousin Kathy, and said, could you imagine how proud Rick would be that his nephew graduated college? And there's really no way to get through it unless you go through it. I know that seems elementary, but I liken it to anybody who's been through any kind of military or police or fire training. The basic part is horrible. It's the worst. But you got to go through it, and eventually you either have to go through it or you're going to fail. And that's what I look to do, is to attempt to, as I see victims and deal with victims, is attempt to lead them through it and strike a balance. How much do they want? How much needs to be drawn out? When do I need to back off? You have to, as hard as the next step is, it's going to be easier than the last step was. So if that's my little nugget of wisdom, I don't know. I try to think of the different things that I've done, from distractions to family to whatever, and that's kind of, in the end, that's kind of what it is. You got to get through it. You got to get through it without driving yourself crazy. So